So let me start this video by saying to my bourbon friends who are critical of the name on this bottle, my apologies, and I can explain. We're going to review Basil Hayden Toast 80 Proof. This is the first bottle of Basil Hayden I have ever purchased. I have had Basil Hayden, the regular Basil Hayden, flagship 80 Proof, the original one in a restaurant once. I've had it in an old-fashioned in a restaurant. I've never purchased anything from Basil Hayden, and for good reason. I don't think the regular Basil Hayden is that good. I think it's overpriced for an 80 proof bottle that is just okay. It's not critical of the James Beam Distilling Company, from which this is, and it's not critical of the mash bill, because I have done a lot of videos saying that it's cousin, sibling, whatever you want to call it, the old granddad line, whether it be the regular one, the bonded, or the 114, uses the same mash bill as this. It is cheaper and at a higher proof, at least the bonded and the 114. It's the same mash bill, and it's much more reasonable, better deal. I think Basil Hayden, these bottles, they're in the 40s to 50, whatever, 40s to 50s, and for an 80 proof, they're all 80 proof, so I'm very critical of it, and for good reason. But I do have an interest, and I do enjoy toasted bourbons, and I have heard, through things I've read from other sources, some good things about this. Now, it is 80 proof, we can't change that, but I have heard that it is kind of a little bit of a standout from the other basic offerings. And the reason is, what makes it unique is the secondary grain, and that the fact that it uses brown rice. So this is 80 proof from the James Beam Distilling Company. The mash bill is 63% corn, 27% brown rice, 10% malted barley. So basically, they take their exact same mash bill for Basil Hayden, which is the same one for Old Grandad. They swipe out the 27% rye, and they put in the 27% brown rice. The corn and the malted barley, exactly the same. They literally replace the brown rice. Rather, they replace the rye with the brown rice. And I thought that's interesting. So the fact of that, the fact of the toast flavor with the way it's described, and quite honestly, Breaking Bourbon didn't exactly give it a very bad review. It gave it three barrels. So my interest is there. But here's the kicker. I still, with all of this, was hesitant to do it, but I had a $50 gift card. This is $49. I think it's overpriced again for 80 proof. But when you have a gift card, you kind of feel a little bit more, you feel rich, you feel a little bit more maybe lenient to get something that you may not have gotten. And I thought that's perfect with a $50 gift card. And here we are. So this is basically, it's bourbon finished in toasted and then flash charred oak barrels. Very interested. And look, it's a nice looking bottle. All their bottles are very nice. I like the kind of the cork shape. Let's see what's really in here, and if this one is any better than the other ones that I've never bought. Here we go. My first Basil Hayden cork pop. Here we go. That's actually a good cork pop. We're off to a good start. Nice looking bottle. Nice cork pop. Let's see what's actually in the bottle. So, again, bearing in mind it's 80 proof, I think the liquid inside is medium at best. Let's give it a nose. It's, again, 80 proof. Really not much going on in the nose. Can't detect the difference between, having brown rice and malted barley. Brown rice and rye, rather. All right, let's give this a taste. Cheers. Okay. It was almost unrecognizable. Let me give it a second taste. Cheers. Wow. Okay. At first impression, this is very light. I'm not used to, in all fairness, I'm not used to drinking anything 80 proof. The last thing I had that was 80 proof was, in all fairness, Jack Daniel's Hole Number 7. It was a little sample, just kind of talking about where where my roots came from, where I started from. And that actually tasted more potent than this, but it's very watery. It's 80 proof. Now, let's put that aside and see what's in there. I mean, there's really, let's put it this way. I'm trying to get past the 80 proof, but it's just so hard to find the flavor in there because it's so darn light. Do I detect the difference between brown rice and rye? Honestly, not really. Is there a toast flavor? Is there caramel? Yeah, but it's very light. So I don't really have anything really intense to talk about here because it's like now that's the problem, and there at least I guess the good thing is that maybe there's more flavor in this than their regular one. That's just weak, not weaker. But it's basically probably more bland, as I recall. I will say this is better than the regular Basil Hayden. We'll say that. I just wish that Basil Hayden, with this and all their bottles, had more proof with it because I think that would certainly help. Look, it's the same mash bill again as Old Granddad. Old Granddad 140 is phenomenal. Old Granddad Bonnet is phenomenal. It's the same mash bill and it's cheaper. Honestly, it's a nice bottle, but give me a plain bottle. Look at Kings County Distillery. It's the plainest bottle. It's a very plain bottle, but the liquid inside is phenomenal. I don't care about the bottle. More important is what is in here. So, to basically wrap up, because I'm not sure this is going to change much. This is the weakest, kind of most blandest bottle of any type of toasted bourbon that I have. The one that is in the next blandest is probably the Elijah Craig toasted that I had, and that probably was more. At least that had, that was 94 proof. I think the proof is a real detriment here, and I feel that would be an improvement, especially for the price they charge. This is a $49 bottle, and I see this for more expensive in the 50s. I just wish they put more proof in this. So, that's just a major complaint. Yes, it's a little bit better than the basic one, but this is not a rebuy. I would never have paid my own money for it. I'm glad if I was going to do it, I did it with a gift card, get this out of my system. I was curious about some of the others. I heard that the dark rye may be good, smoke, but Basil Hayden is just not for me. It is, part of the Jim Beam small batch collection, and you would never know it because you would never know this is related to, aside from the Old Granddad, you would never know this is, related to the Knob Creeks and the Bookers and even the Bakers. So, got it out of my system, one and done. We'll have other reviews on this. I wouldn't even put this in an old fashioned. I think it's going to get totally lost. But I was hoping for a little bit better. The only thing that's better is the base Basil Hayden. But lesson well learned. Cheers.